What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and we got to talk about Chapter 31 of Wistoria. Now, we are kind of catching up with what's current on the series, though we are still a few chapters behind. But if you remember from the last chapter, Will is officially graduated. He's moved on. He's going on to the tower. And here we're going to find out what is going to happen with all that. But first, we got a little bit of a flashback here where it's 5 years ago, and we find out this is basically like right when Elfie left. And can we just talk about how adorable her art is here? I just love the whole look they gave her. I just love how mischievous she is. She's fantastic. Like, especially if you compare her character here when we see her later on in the series. Heck, later on in this chapter. This look of like joy and all that just simply doesn't exist in the modern Elfie, and it's really sad. But I just love what they've done with her whole facial expression and everything there. She's just adorable. And I love it. So essentially she's just like, I can't do this without you, blah, blah, blah. And they have this whole like back and forth before she just kind of goes onto the tower and does her thing. And even says here it's been 5 years since that night. And they're actually really cute together. But he says, I'm finally coming home, which is obviously he's ascending the tower. Now, wisdom, inspiration, scholarship, and those are like the big things that are supposed to be like the key attributes of people in this higher educational system, so to speak. And everyone's, of course, they've all gone off to this like really fancy tailor, and they're all getting their new outfits. Their outfits actually look really sick. I am not gonna lie; these outfits are crazy cool. Let's see if we get a good shot of them right there. Yeah, some great shots of these new outfits. I cannot wait to see these in the anime. Now the question is, will these be like a season 2 thing or a season 3 thing? I'm going to guess this will be like season 3. I'm just gathering. I kind of feel like that whole last thing that happened is probably going to be its own contained season. They might expand on some of the fighting and stuff like that, which we already saw with, for the first season and some of the chapters that were like, one chapter per episode type of thing. But nevertheless, I digress. You can see here that Julius is kind of having a little bit of a fit, right? And they kind of explain it. They're like, everybody else here has gotten like basically a letter from their faction. Colette's got one from the Earth faction. Sion's got one from the Fire faction. Everybody has like their little clique has contacted them. But the Ice faction has not contacted Julius. So he's kind of like in limbo right now. Like, he does not know what he's going to do. And he's very stressed out about it. And I honestly can't blame him. Now, this is actually a really cool moment right here. So, Will goes back to Donovan, the black. I guess he's a blacksmith. But he's one of the dwarves that we met there early on at the Dwarven Tavern. And what basically Donovan's doing is he's recrafting that sword that Will had. And he's like, here's your new sword. Now, first of all, can we talk about how sick that sword looks? That looks way cooler than the sword he had before. Now, they mention it here kind of in passing, but it's not really translated well in the on the pages here. But in the anime, he even says the blade is purple. And he's like, yeah, I took the old blade that you had, the one that you had broken. I don't even know how you broke it because it was like crazy strong. He's like, but somehow you managed to break it. Cool. Not asking. Nevertheless, I fixed it, and he basically imbued some magic amulets and whatever in there. He calls it the Sword of Wiest. So that's its own interesting thing right there. So as he's talking about the sword and as they're going over all the specs and all that kind of stuff, it seems like the sword is still made out of the same material. It still has a lot of the same properties. And, basically he took the old blades and kind of fixed them in such a way that they will now work for essentially the same purposes. In fact, they should be able to they should be able to essentially channel magical energy better. Is basically what the whole goal of this is. But nevertheless, here they are. They are going into the tower. They are ascending. This is what everything that they were hoping for. And actually, it's really interesting. Old girl here who we met in the last season, whatever, that last little bit. She's basically introducing them all around. So, kind of thought she was. I mean, I knew she wasn't going to be a one and done character. I didn't think she was essentially going to be the narrator of this whole next little bit. But whatever. Old girl's here, and she's introducing everybody. And basically what happens is she's like, welcoming them and inviting them all in. And Will's all excited. He's like, here I come, Alfie. Like, this is the big moment. Like, remember, wasn't a week ago, this wasn't supposed to be happening. And he kind of pulled it off just by sheer, like, him being him. And they walk in there, they're like, it's dark, there's nothing here. And she's just like, opens up a gate. And that's, everything kind of opens around him. I remember, this is a magic community. Of course, everything's going to be very mystical and whatever. But it seems like this is a whole other realm. They call it the colorless courtyard, which is really, really, really interesting. And essentially, she's like, this is step one. You got to do this and this and this and this. It's a whole thing that they've got to do. But basically, she says specifically here, it's your actions that will decide whether or not you get to stay here on a more permanent basis. So in other words, everything's a test. Literally everything they're doing here is a complete test. But I think it's really awesome here. At one point, everyone's like enjoying themselves. They're all kind of taking in the ambience of everything that's going on around them. But at some point here, as everything starts kind of like taking shape and opening up, you can see everybody's kind of getting their own little story arc type of thing here. Basically, okay. So Sion here is like, look, the tower is not a place for fun as much as you might think it is. Everyone's taking this like super duper seriously. And you can see down here that Julius is starting to lose his mind. This is kind of what I was alluding to before. There's just a lot of build up in this chapter to it. There's 40 pages in this chapter. And like the craziest thing that happens, like really just happens here at the end. So as they approach the cathedral looking spot, Julius obviously is losing his mind. Everybody else is kind of done what they're doing. I kind of get the feeling that when they animate this, that once again, they're going to add a lot more into this. And they're going to just have a lot more of the general goings on. Like they had the cows there that they were milking. And they had the little stand and all that stuff. I kind of feel like this is going to be like its own contained episode once again. Because there's just so much world building here. But they're like, these are the mages from each faction, and they're all descending, right? Everybody's coming down, and it's even the Magi Evander, and they're all being introduced one by one. And it was really cool. So I love it. He's like, Elfie, I made it. And, she kind of can't get too excited. But notice the difference between her here and when we saw her at the beginning of the chapter. It is a totally different look. Completely different look. And even he's taken note of this. Like, there's something wrong here. But, everyone's just kind of, doing what they're doing. And one by one, she's like, let's get the festivities started. And one by one, they're all being granted colors based on their faction. So everybody's outfit, kind of like his is obviously going to be like reds and oranges and things like that. Everybody's lighting up. This is what poor Julius was losing his mind about. Everybody is now getting accepted into their various factions. You can see the very satisfied look on everyone's faces or shocked look or whatever, as they're all kind of getting their different colors. And then your Gloria, which is that outfit that they had kind of made at the beginning of this, will take on the color of your faction. And you can already see here, he didn't get what he wanted. He's going to be in the same boat that poor Will is. And Will is like, I don't have a color. Now, we can expect that from Will, right? Will doesn't have a color because he doesn't really have a faction. Like, he's one of a kind. He's solo in this endeavor. This is devastating for Julius, though, because he should be part of that ice faction. Like, he absolutely 100% should be there. Now, I kind of get the impression that's Elfie's decision. I really do. And we kind of know her opinion of him already. But this is the moment. Now, this might be why she's actually wincing the more I really think about this, because she doesn't want to accept him, but she can't, and she wants to accept him, but she probably can't accept him. So it's just this weird thing where Will's going to have to prove himself once again. I mean, not like he's not going to, but it's just the next big thing. And that's pretty much the end of the chapter, guys. This is where we leave off. Will doesn't have a color. Julius doesn't have a color. Everybody else has been accepted. Poor Julius is just mind broken over this. I don't know why Will's shocked. He shouldn't be shocked. He should have expected this. But it is what it is. We will pick the rest of this up on Sunday. So make sure you guys are back for more Wistoria at that point in time. We'll cover chapter 32. Until then, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you guys again real soon.